Friends, I've got something pretty cool for you today. This is the Optimus Popularis keyboard, and it's from 2012, so it's kind of old, but this thing cost like $1,100 when it came out. It's actually the sequel to the Optimus Maximus that came out in 2007, and that thing was like 1,500 bucks or something. It had an OLED screen, or I think it was a number of OLED screens. I don't know why they went to LCD for this guy instead of OLED, but they did. And I gotta say, it's pretty cool. They market it as 1,000,000 keyboards in one because you can just change it to absolutely whatever you want. And because of the screens, you can set up multiple different languages, no problem, without changing out the keycaps for people who don't know where certain characters are and they have to, you know, hunt and peck a little bit. Let's open the box. It's pretty unique, pretty interesting. We haven't done a bunch of testing on it or anything like that, but I'm really excited. From Art Lebedev Studio, by the way. Incredible piece of history. This is getting pretty old. The sticker on the back is starting to peel off on its own. But you know what? It's in otherwise great shape, and I'm pretty stoked. It's wired, and one very cool thing, yeah, that's right. If you couldn't guess it already from the title, this keyboard plugs into the wall. I have never seen anything like it before in my life. All that's left in here, otherwise, aside from the keyboard and the cables and the adapters, are just some power adapters for different countries. This is now out of production. I went searching eBay earlier today and couldn't find anything, so good luck getting your hands on one. I actually don't even know how we got ours. I don't know what the switches are. There's not a ton of information about it anywhere, to be honest. Even their own website, it doesn't, like, remember that this came out in 2012. That's kind of when mechanical keyboards were getting popular, but not like anywhere close to the popularity that they are today. It's pretty neat, wired, and this wire is not able to disconnect, so you're stuck with it. But you know, it's white and black, it's tasteful, it's fine. It's not super heavy, 982 grams, so just under a kilo, about 2 pounds. It's not too bad. You can hold it one-handed pretty easily. I've checked it out a little bit ahead of this because I just wanted to get my hands on it. I couldn't help myself. And one thing that just drives me up the wall is all of these switches are whatever. We'll talk about them in a sec. The function key is different. Like, can you hear that? There's something about the function key that it's like a whole separate switch or something, and it feels chunky. Feels like an old on-off power switch that you'd get on, like, I don't even know, like old PCs really. And it drives me nuts. I don't know why the one key is just completely different. Either way, let's get this thing fired up because I want to take a look at all the screens. Oh my God, it's terrible. I don't know how else to explain this. This feels worse than typing on a membrane chiclet keyboard. And I like membrane chiclet keyboards. I think they're fine. But this thing just does not feel good at all. But you know, it's not about feeling good, especially like, what, over 10 years ago now? It was really more about functionality and looking cool and standing out from the crowd, especially at $1,100. What I really want to do is I want to plug in both our USB and our power and check out just how this thing looks when it's all lit up, but not before a word from our sponsor. Thanks to UGREEN for sponsoring this video. Do you use a laptop and desktop PC at the same time? Stop messing around with cables. With the UGREEN USB 3.0 switch selector, you can use up to 4 USB devices across 2 computers. It's super simple to use. Just plug your devices into the front ports and attach the rear cables to your 2 systems. Your keyboard, mouse, or other USB devices can now instantly be used with one system or the other with the press of a button. Check out the UGREEN 3.0 switch selector at the link below. Oh, it lit up from just the USB power. Okay, this is gonna be a little logistically challenging. I can tell you already that if you were planning to use this in like a regular desk setup, it might be a little challenging just because you're stuck with this weird cable system. And yeah, it's pretty ugly. It might be a little easier if it's a full desktop setup, so you've got all of your powers like down by your I/O on your computer and everything instead of plugged into a laptop and hanging off the table down to our power brick there. But you know, it's working. There's screens and they're all lit up. It detected just fine. Let's do a little typing test first thing. Oh, something's, oh, it's the space. I don't like this at all. The space bar our space bar just straight up does not always work, I don't think. You know, instead of a typing test, I'm gonna do something that I don't usually do here. I'm gonna go to VIA and see if everything is actually actuating properly. Yeah, a lot of the switches just don't go. Like I'm having to hit enter multiple times. So let's just do a quick little, hit all the things to make sure everything is actuating. Some of them take a few presses, but they are all detecting. All members. I don't know if that's just bad NKRO right now or what. It does work. It just is really finicky. And this spacebar is awful. That being said, you've got to remember that this is at least 10 years old at this point. So some of these might just need a little love. You might have to open it up and maybe get some crud out of there. But stuff like our spacebar sticking, right there, it's stuck, are not ideal. But you know, okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna give it a shot on Monkey Type for realsies this time. No restarting. I'm gonna go slower on purpose just to make sure that I really, not mash, but I like really definitively hit each of these keys here. I'm hoping for high accuracy and low word speed. Oh, this word's gone. Okay, sure. This sticking spacebar is really killing me here. Oh, this is bad. 54 words per minute, 91% accuracy, you know. We did a bit of digging and it turns out that we did get ours off eBay, but we paid basically retail at about $1,050. So if you've got one, you can at least sell it for basically what it cost you. It's super cool. One thing I gotta show you, and I haven't used this really at all yet, but it has software. It looks like an Apple program. Honestly though, right? Like this UI looks like something Apple would do. So you can do whatever you want in here. Like it's even got a little paint. So you can change these keys to absolutely anything. Can I just like open paint? Wow. It makes a little, I don't know how to use this, like at all. I'm honestly not entirely sure how to use the software. I really wish I could do a better job of showing it to you. But basically, you can configure this thing key by key. It's kind of like the people that made the Stream Deck saw this guy and they're like, yeah, that seems really cool. But also, I don't want to pay $1,100 for it. And also, I don't think it needs to be the full keyboard. And they took that idea and they ran with it. And you've got the Stream Deck now, which is basically what this is, but in a much smaller and compact form factor that has a completely different purpose. No one's expecting to type on a Stream Deck. I mean, you could. You probably shouldn't, but you could. Whereas this is definitely like keyboard first. You can do a bunch of cool stuff too. Like you can put a bunch of information on this screen. They've got a bunch of marketing material that we'll show you if we can't get it working right here. Because yeah, it's a little complex. And also this thing is super old, so the software isn't great. So each screen runs at a minimum of 10 FPS and it can support up to 264,000 colors, which is pretty wild. And okay, I just noticed this as well. You hit shift, boom, it capitalizes all the letters. That's pretty wild, eh? All of a sudden your numbers change to the symbols instead. So you can set up like any number of macros that you might want to do. One neat thing is that's also happening in the software itself. So right now if I hit shift, the letters change in the software. So it's all real time, which is honestly pretty impressive for over 10 years ago when you think about where keyboards are now. This is probably literally the worst typing experience I've ever had. I'm gonna, like, some other people are gonna check this out after we're done talking about it, and I'm guaranteeing that they're also gonna think it feels absolutely terrible, especially this stuck spacebar. I don't know, when it was fresh and new, maybe it felt a bit better, but right now it really doesn't feel all that good. In terms of size and layout, it's kind of a TKL. You've got basically your alphanumerics and then your FRO, and that's about it. You've got some arrow keys, so your navigation cluster and a function key. So if you want like a nifty layout or if you want a very unique keyboard, then maybe this is the keyboard for you. But like I said, I mean, you're gonna have to shell out even today, like over $1,000 for this thing. So The real question becomes, do you want to put it in your collection just because it's super cool? Or maybe you're just an absolute madman who wants a crazy macro pad that has to stay not only plugged into your computer, because it's not gonna have wireless features, but also just plugged into the wall. I never thought I would own a keyboard that plugs into the wall, and I don't think I'm about to start. For anyone who's a bit more technically oriented, I kind of wonder, Sven actually pointed this out, I wonder if you could change this cable entirely, like open the whole thing, strip this cable out, and then do it entirely through USB-C, because that has power delivery. Does it say on the brick how much it uses? 100 to 240, which is pretty standard, 5 volt, 2 amp. So yeah, you could probably power this thing through USB-C, which would be pretty sweet. Honestly, it's actually getting enough power through USB alone. Yeah, like it's still lit up and working. So I'm not entirely sure. Oh no, there it goes. It lost power. The shift is no longer changing it. Okay, you definitely need to keep it plugged in, which is a little unfortunate, but you know, if you want one of the most unique keyboards on the market, either get this one for the LCD screen, or if you can find it, it was more expensive, but the Optimus Maximus was an OLED screen keyboard, and it's the precursor to this guy that came out in 2007. It's a modern marvel, what they were able to accomplish back then. So thanks for watching. This is ShortCircuit. This is the Optimus Popularis keyboard from Art Lebedev, and you know what? It's pretty neat. Thanks for watching.